What's happening, guys? This is Adi from Theros International, rolling solo today, and we're here to chat with all the new updates and latest with Olympiacos. We are postponing the award show. I don't know if you guys saw the messages that we had put out on socials. Unfortunately, some work obligations and, of course, illness hit a couple of the members. So we would like to be as many of us there as possible so that we can have an eventful award show. All of your votes have been counted. There were some really close ones, a lot of nominations for a lot of categories. Some categories had more nominated players than I think we've seen in an award show. It's usually like maybe 3, 4, and then a handful more in a couple of other situations. But it was very interesting to go through all of that. So, guys, if you are tuning in, a few dozen of you have already jumped in here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Say hi. I need the engagement, of course, because I'm going to be here by myself. It's boring to sit here and talk all by myself. But before we go ahead and talk about the latest updates, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you are tuning in now, hit that like button. Every engagement helps us find more red and white fans. It boosts us in the algorithm, and it helps us move to find more individuals. The show is continuing to grow. We are less than 250 subs away from 7K on YouTube. It's massive for us. Instagram, we hit 16,000 about a week ago, and we're chugging along to 17,000. Less than 230 follows away on Facebook, I believe, as well, from 15,000, which is absolutely massive. So the show just continues to grow thanks to all of your support. So thank you all. And for those of you that may not be aware, you can also support us on Patreon. We get messages from people asking how they can support, what they can do to help us. Patreon is a great way. Even if you joined the WhatsApp group, it's only $1 a month. We share some information there that we don't always share on social media. So that's a great chance for you guys to learn a little bit more about what's going on and communicate with us. You can meet up with people from around the world. We have Olympiacos fans from many different countries that are in that, and it's just a great time. And I encourage you all to join us there. Check out patreon.com. There's also enhanced content here. You can check out more content that we make just for the patrons. Scouting reports are all going there. And then, of course, there's a merchandise tier as well. So you can check all of that out on patreon.com/307 International. A lot of great stuff there. We also just did an interview with Katia Dragotis, and she's doing a docuseries about looking at culture through sport. And her first episode is about the Derby of Eternal Enemies. You might have seen a teaser. There's going to be more coming out. So check that out. It's really great stuff from Katia there, and she's did a really great job. You might even recognize a few people in that docuseries. So it was an honor to help her get all of that set up. Giveaways, guys. We had a great giveaway that ended very recently for the signed jersey. There is another big giveaway coming up. You guys saw the announcement from Classic Football Shirts in the UK about the 100-year anniversary jersey. Keep an eye out because we've got something fun coming up for you guys this week. So hope you enjoy it. A lot of great giveaways that are continuing to come out. A lot of great efforts going on. So let's talk about what went on this week. A lot of big things have happened, from Sotiris Silaidopoulos, Coach Silaidopoulos taking over at Rio Ave as the head coach, Babis Kostoulas getting sold to Brighton for a record fee, not just a Olympiacos record, a record for a Greek player, and one of the most expensive signings in Brighton's history. I recorded a video earlier. It's going to be uploaded onto YouTube about Babis Kostoulas and what Brighton can expect from him. We get a lot of questions about Babis Kostoulas from Brighton fans asking us what he can do. We've shared some data, and we've talked about him here and there in different posts on social media. So there's a lot that the player has to offer. And that video will be going up probably tomorrow, either later today or tomorrow, so you guys can check that out. Mainly, of course, for Brighton fans, as you guys already know, most of what we're saying, we just add some data and talk about Mendilibar's system in addition to that. So Proud of Babis Kostoulas. I know in the Greek episode that Costa just did, guys, you should check that out. Especially we have a lot of Greek speakers here, native Greek speakers. It was a great episode. They kind of talked about it a little bit. Really proud of Babis. I believe Babis is capable of amazing things. To the moon. The guy's potential is limitless. And I said that in the video that's going to be coming out. If you guys have any questions or comments you want to say, so your goodbyes to Bobby, go ahead, put them in the comments right now. Let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are on all of this. The final fee, and we verified some things from different sources, but the final fee, it was 35 million base fee. The 2 million that was reported in by English outlets are the add-ons that Olympiacos is more or less guaranteed to get. That's the 35 plus 2. There's additional performance-based bonuses that they may or may not get, but there is a sell-on. We were unable to verify what the sell-on is. Nikolakopoulos said it's 20%. None of our other sources agreed on that and could verify that, but we know there is a sell-on. So there is a sell-on for Bobby's for a lot of people that were panicking, thinking that we gave a gift basically to Brighton. Trust me, there was no gift. This is this deal already shows up in transfer market as 40 million, but it can get up to 50 million between the sell-on, between the other bonuses. It's a record deal for us. Now, the sale of Babis Kostoulas brings us to other questions that need to be answered. We all know that Jose Luis Mendilibar wants 4 players in before preseason begins. 2 wingers, 1 center mid, 1 center back. He wants those players here so that he can do preseason. We know that we have young players that are ready for preseason, that are coming to preseason. Stavros Nemonidis, Papacanelos, and I believe Liatsikoras. So we have some young guys that are going to be joining preseason. We have some loans, which until recently we thought those loans would be joining for preseason. Now it doesn't appear they will be. It looks like only Hefte Betancourt will be getting a look in preseason by Jose Luis Mendilibar. So there's some questions. And we've already got some comments coming in here about some of this. Nikos R from Shanghai. Oh, my goodness gracious. Nico, thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. Greetings from Shanghai. Good luck to Bobby's. Mia sounds like a great move, and we need to spend top money for a right wing that is left-footed, that can score and is fast. That's 21 to 28 years old. Thank you, Nikos R, for your comment. So the question, going back to the discussion, he brings up one of the first names I was going to talk about, center mid. He's in the thumbnail. Luis Milla from Getafe. One of the best players on their team, 30 years old, but they're not backing down. They don't want to lose him. Milla, they want a lot of money. Almost 10 million they want for this guy. At 30 years old, no one's paying that money for Luis Milla. But he was the best player. He was voted MVP this season for them. He's a great leader. He knows Mendilibar's system. He can operate really well in Mendilibar's system. And as a deeper center mid, a lot of shot-creating actions. Remarkable. I'm not necessarily sure that this case is not done. It's difficult, but the closer we get to the end of the window, it could be more and more likely. But then here's the conundrum, guys. Mendilibar wants these players for preseason training. So if you can't get the price down, are you going to spend that much money for a 30-year-old? Unlikely. And it's not really what the club does these days. So would the club go for a player like Onyeka, who's another one that's been in and out of the transfer mill for us? Do you go for a player like Onyeka, who maybe isn't as good as Luis Milla, but just so you have something in preseason? Remember, we need a replacement for Stamenic. Stamenic, unfortunately, was a disappointment and didn't offer us much this season in Mendilibar's system for various reasons that I've discussed before. but you still need a fourth player. We're going to the Champions League. We need a better rotation. Danny Garcia is not going to get you through Champions League by himself. Neither is Santiago Eze. Neither is, oh my goodness gracious, Christos Mouzakitis at 18 years old. So we are going to need support there, and you need somebody that is going to be able to fill in at a high level, and that's Luis Milla. But we'll see how it happens. There's a lot of questions there. Next question is center back. I'm doing the center mid, center back first because they're easier to talk about before we get to the winger, which is has been a whole fiasco. Center back. You might have seen some of the latest reports today. We already knew David Carmo was not staying. He wasn't sticking around at Olympiacos. We had our doubts this season, especially seeing how he was playing. We had our doubts from our sources, from people we spoke to, that were close to the Carmo camp. And now you just saw in the latest reports today or on the radio, they talked about the fact that he didn't want to be at Olympiacos by the time the season was over. He wants to try his luck at Nottingham Forest and fight for a place. Will he get it? He thinks he will. But I guess we'll find out. So now we need a center back. And then the news that I just told you that Mendilibar doesn't want any of the loan players back except for Hefte Betancourt. Well, what about Kalogeropoulos? There's actually a comment. Somebody had asked about that too. And this is a very, very good question. Alex 50. I hope Kalogeropoulos gets a chance. So do we. What was the word, and this was even reported by Nikolakopoulos, was that Kalogeropoulos was going to come in and probably be fifth choice center back. We still need another center back afterwards because Andreas Doy is probably going to stay at Rio Ave or go elsewhere if he doesn't stay at Rio Ave. But we still need another center back. Kalogeropoulos would be a great choice. Homegrown. Great for the UEFA list. If he doesn't get a choice, that's kind of odd. Unless we're going to use Isidros Koutsilis, who's coming back. But then by what Mendilibar said, he wouldn't get an option either because he was out on loan. He didn't get any minutes really at Volos. So difficult. We need to find all these options, and we're running out of time. Preseason's coming up. Second week of July. We're less than a month away. Mendilibar wants players. He wants to have a preseason with more or less a full team before we decide what other things that we need. Things have to get done. It's not going to be easy for many reasons. Going to jump in with some other comments here. Hussein, our boy Hussein, hello. Greetings from the homeland. Hussein, love seeing you in here. Love seeing all of our patrons. Check out Patreon again for those of you that are not following us there. Nikos R. Liatsikoras has ridiculous stats for the U19. Will Plionis also come? Paris Plionis come to preseason. We hope. Plionis was another great player for the U19. Liatsikoras deserves to be there too. He had absolutely ridiculous stats. Arispan. With how FFP works, when is the new fiscal season supposed to start? And is it likely the club is holding business until then? It could be. The deadline is coming up. I believe it's in July, like first week of July, for the upcoming FFP deadline. It's either end of June or first week of July. I don't remember. But yes, there is a deadline coming up. Hussein brings up the left back rumors that we've been hearing. There's been a couple left backs. There's a rumor that we would be getting Cuiabano from Nottingham Forest. They just bought 3 players from Botafogo, and Cuiabano was the left back from them. But Forest doesn't have any left backs right now. They're using a right back as a left back, Nico Williams. So I doubt we're getting that. The Tsimikas rumors, I believe that's also for Forest. I don't think Tsimikas would be coming back to Greece. We've had plenty of people tell us that that's not the case. Nikos R. Mia was 3rd in La Liga for chances created as a CM. He's worth big money even though he's 30. He is, but again, you're not going to spend big money on a player with low resale value. Nobody will do that, even Olympiacos. We have bigger needs that we need to fill that money should be used in. So that's really the situation. Couple other comments here coming in. Achilles Beos, Tsimikas overrated and a snob. Don't want him. I prefer other options than Tsimikas personally, but that's a different story altogether. But there's a lot of different things going on. We have a fan from Bangladesh here. I'm a Bangladeshi Leicester City fan. Hamza Chaudhry, can you tell me who you want to take? Guys, I don't think Hamza. We've been getting ever since he was linked to us. We've been getting tons of messages from what I'm assuming are people, huge fans of Hamza from Bangladesh, and I don't think there's anything from this, guys. We Hamza's not a top priority, and I don't think he would be a top priority for the Mendilibar system. I apologize if I offend anybody saying that, but I don't think he's a Mendilibar type of player. Kostas Papa Dimitriou, one of our oldest followers, and somebody that has always shared the channel. Thank you, Costa. Costa says, the fat, quote unquote, that we have from the huge time limit between 18th of May to the 10th to 15th of July, it starts to burn. We have 1 month tops to ensure that all the transfers we need must be present at the first meeting of the season. We have to avoid the mistakes of the past with the delayed transfers. Costa, you're absolutely right. And this is when the club has to make a decision. Luis Mia, if you're not willing to pay what they want now, do you go for the next option? Maybe that's worse, but is cheaper. You have to make that decision. You're going to have to, you only have a month to make that decision. We can't do what we did last year, trying to delay, trying to bring in certain players. Then we're doing all this business last minute. Mendilibar doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. So it's not an easy situation. The club has to do a lot of work right now. The only signing we've done so far is Remy Cabella, which was a very early signing, depth signing for a different look as a bench option, as an attacking mid winger. But we need 2 more options on the wing. I haven't discussed the wingers yet. In addition to the center back, a top center back, as well as a top midfielder. A lot of stuff has to get done. And we made the sale. Money is going to have to be spent for us to be ready. Alex 50. I think Kostoulas should stay on loan for 2 years, like Olympiacos, on a team that will actually give him playing time. Rio Ave would not be a bad choice for him. Look, buddy, we have a lot of players already at Rio Ave. Remember, Kostoulas was there. Andreas Doi is there. I don't know how much more we could stack center backs at Rio Ave. I think Kostoulas needs to leave Greece. I think we need to loan him somewhere else. The Netherlands has always been a great place for us to loan players. So I think loaning Kostoulas outside of Greece would probably be the best decision, and ensuring that he gets some real game time. But again, regarding the center backs, my personal opinion is that there's no excuse for Kostoulas not to get a chance at preseason. I do not understand how this can even be a conversation that we wouldn't give him a shot. He was one of the top center backs in Greece in many respects, playing for a really, really, really bad team, and he shined on a terrible team. So I think it would be pretty unacceptable if he didn't get at least a chance to try out for Olympiacos and show us what he could do. If you don't see what you like and we don't see what we like in preseason, fine. Then you go pursue other options. But I would disagree that he doesn't deserve an opportunity to show us what he's got. Panayotis Yanukos, what do you think for Pep BL? He's doing fantastic in MLS. Do you think he could come to Olympiacos again? Guys, unfortunately, I think the Pep BL saga at Olympiacos has run its course. The player is doing great in MLS. He loves it in the United States. And I think the cycle is done at Olympiacos. I don't see a chance. I don't see a scenario where he would ever come back, unfortunately. So, but yes, he is doing great in the MLS. He's loves it there and he's doing well. We wish him the best, but I don't see Pep BL ever returning to Olympiacos in any capacity. Mr. Grumpy just came back to Lux. I put a bet with Costa, Luxembourg, I'm assuming he's saying. I put a bet with Costa. Deferdang 3 will qualify to the Champions League and will be in the same group with Olympiacos. We'll face them in Luxembourg. Your mouth to God's ears, my friend. Your mouth to God's ears. Going back on track, guys. I haven't talked about the wingers yet. We talked about the center mid. We talked about the center back. The wing option has been a little bit unfortunate because we are targeting primarily Spanish players, Mendilibar's choices. We've been looking at Borja Sainz. We've been looking at Brian Hill. We've been looking at Carlos Vicente, who right now is one of the top names. Václav Černý from Rangers. We've been looking at all these players, but and willing to pay money for them, but they don't want to come to Greece. Brian Hill is back seemingly at the top of the list. Maybe he's had a change of heart, but he's another one who didn't want to come to Greece. Perhaps Mendilibar, who's gotten involved in that, has changed his mind a little bit. But Brian Hill is one that we're talking to now. Now, Carlos Vicente, who's another player we're looking at, he seems like one that we could get as well, but he also is a little bit timid about playing in Greece. Borja Sainz is the one that Mendilibar wanted first and foremost. Borja Sainz is the player that Jose Luis Mendilibar really, really wanted here. He's at Norwich. They want a lot of money for him. You know, our sources in England had told us Norwich would be happy with 10 to 15 million pounds, which is, 13 to 18 million euro. But apparently they're saying no to those offers from Porto. They're saying no to those offers from Nottingham Forest for 15 million. So they seem to want a little bit more money than that. I mean, the player is leaving. He's not staying in Norwich. And Nottingham Forest now is the one that's supposed to be buying. Nottingham Forest, if they buy him, there's a great chance he comes to Olympiacos on loan, just like the David Carmo deal. But here's the thing. What does the player want? Is Mendilibar, he was supposed to have a talk with Borja Sainz. Is he able to convince a player as a Basque coach to a Basque player that wanted to go to Bilbao? Is he able to convince this player to come to Olympiacos? If the player is going to sign for Forest, is Forest just going to keep him? Because Forest needs attacking assets. Now that they're in 3 competitions, they will need attacking assets. Will we be able to get Borja Sainz on loan for a season? Can you guys imagine a scenario where we could get Borja Sainz and Brian Hill, both of them, in one season? Would be pretty insane. But again, here's the problem. These players, Borja Sainz wants to play for a team in the Premier League. The fact that Forest is in for him tells me that there is a chance that they buy him and they loan him to us. Forest fans hate that. They hate that they buy players and loan them to us, but, it is what it is. But does the player want to come to Greece? If he doesn't want to come to Greece, you can't force him. The agents will make sure that he doesn't come to Greece. So it's just difficult. It's very difficult, guys. There's all these players that Mendilibar wants, but they don't want to come to. They're expensive players, and they don't want to come to Greece. It's not about throwing as much money as you can at them. If they don't want to be in Greece, you can't force them to be, nor would you want them to be forced, because that will impact how they play on the field. It's a very difficult situation. And just like Costa said before, we have to get these players in. Mendilibar wants 4 players before preseason. We have less than a month to do it. The club is going to have some very, very difficult decisions to make. Very difficult decisions to make. So we're going to see what happens. But right now, a lot of names are coming through. It will be a process to get some there. Don't be surprised, guys, and I don't want to be the doom bringer, the bearer of bad news, but don't be surprised if we get to preseason. I remember it being a similar situation last year where Mendy wants certain players by preseason. He wants 4 players before preseason starts. Don't be surprised if we get maybe 2 of them and he's missing 2. I see that as an unfortunate situation and an unfortunate reality. I think I don't think we're going to get that business done and be happy with the players that we're getting if we rush it. It's just how it is. Doom Ultima, a Brighton fan, asking what he can expect from Babis Costulas. Doom, earlier in the show, I talked about a video that I just recorded earlier today that's going to go up on YouTube that is all about what Brighton can expect from Babis Costulas. So I'm not going to talk about him here, but follow the channel because that video will be going up. If I can get it up there tonight, it'll go up tonight or just by tomorrow morning. But I already recorded a video about it. There's data. little charts for positioning as well. So we will have something up for Babis Costulas for you. Do not worry about that. Porfiro 7, Ari, can you tell us your favorite players that you would want to join Olympiacos at all the positions we need? So I'm also going to do a little bit about players that I like for different situations, but I'll be honest with you guys. I really liked Václav Cherny. I really liked him. I thought he would have been nice for us. I do like Borja Sainz as well. Borja Sainz is a play. Like, if we're talking about players that we can afford, right? I loved the Borja Sainz. Brian Hill is one I'm not super crazy about because of the injury history. That always worries me. But I would love if Borja Sainz came. I would absolutely love if that player were to come to Olympiacos. I think he would be a slam dunk. You know who I would love back at Olympiacos, guys, by the way? Not a new name, but an old name. I would love if we could get back Sergi Canos. I think Sergi Canos would be perfect for Jose Luis Mendilibar. Adi Spawn here asking me my opinion about Carlos Vicente. So I'll be honest with you. This past week for me has been, I have not had a chance to take a look at Carlos Vicente. I know nothing about the player. I haven't done any data or anything, so I don't have an opinion on him yet. I will say, comparing Carlos Vicente to some of the other names that we've heard, I don't necessarily believe he's on the same level, but I can't give you my full opinion until I've had a chance to look at the data and look at the player. This week and next week for me are going to be extremely busy, so I will do my best to get you guys as much of the analysis I can. I am planning on doing a little radar chart for you guys for Carlos Vicente, so check that out for sure. Doom Ultima asking if there's a player from Brighton we would take. I don't know if there's a player that we could afford that I like, to be honest with you. I honestly, like, if we had needed a forward, I wouldn't have minded that swap deal with Abdallah Sima, but that's a different story for another time that we could say. But Alex 50, now that Kostoulas is sold, who will be his replacement, Yazici or Cabella? Neither one is really a replacement for Kostoulas because both of them are different players. I'll be honest with you guys. Depending on who we sign, Yazici or Cabella are not a replacement for the aggression that you got from Babis Costulas. Now, is Cabella extremely? Is he creative? Is Yazici creative? Yes, in a different way. Yazici is creative in like a Fortunis type of way. We've talked about this before, but neither one would be a direct replacement. Also, guys, I'm not 100%. The other guys probably I think they do disagree with me, but I'm not convinced 100% that Yusuf Yazici will be here at the end of the summer. I don't know if he's actually a Mendilibar type of player. That is my personal opinion. Not that I think he's bad. I think he's an amazing player, and I would love if he stays here. I just don't think he's a Mendilibar player. If we're going to be honest here. The Podence comments. I knew these were coming. I see a couple of them here. Podence is a great right wing for Champions League for next season. Yes, but is he going to leave the bag in Saudi Arabia? Everybody wanted Fortunis back, but Donis, the coach, just knocked that down. Said Fortunis has another year on his contract. He's staying. I don't think Podence is coming back either, guys. That's done. It is what it is. And you know what? Those guys achieved what they achieved. I don't blame them. They're getting their retirement. I don't necessarily think that's a realistic situation. Would be cool to have Podence back, but that's not happening, guys. It's sorry, not to do the doom and gloom. Everybody gets upset when we start talking about Podence and Fortunis, but I wouldn't hold my breath for either Podence or Fortunis. So honestly, guys, if I'm being real with you here, the way I see things panning out, the wingers, whenever we do sign them, what will probably end up happening is we will spend big money on one winger. But then the second winger that we bring in will probably be like a more veteran, older free transfer. Unfortunately, I think the reality is that Champions League as a draw isn't as big as a lot of people thought it would be. You know, I have talked about on the show that some young players that have certain aspirations, maybe they're not good enough for a certain league, but maybe too good for Greece, will want to use Champions League. I think that's probably closer to what we can attract. We're looking at players right now that are in Spain that are some top prospects in Spain. They don't want to come to Greece. Brian Hill played for Girona on loan from Tottenham. You know, you're looking at Borja Sainz, who's playing in the championship. These guys, and they have great data, by the way. They've done some great things. They don't want to come to Greece, even for Champions League. And if they do, they want it. They see a lot of them see Greece as a stepping stone. They want to play there for a year, do well in Champions League, but then leave. They want that guarantee. You know, it's difficult, guys. With the club has identified what the successful strategy is. We need to buy young players with resale value, young players that can grow into the system. But then the risk is you don't have a ready product. So it's tough, guys. I don't know or believe that we're going to get some of these names. I would have loved to have them, but realistically, if Forest gets Borja Sainz, I could see him staying there. Even though I have talked a lot about the loan situation between Forest and Olympiacos a lot, I see a reality where Forest signs Borja Sainz and he stays at Nottingham Forest. I could see that. Big time. You know, Brian Hill, that's probably a type of player. A lot of these players are going to want to wait to see what offers they get. If they're not going to get offers or play for the clubs that they're a part of now, they probably will want to see if they get better offers in better leagues, which then puts us back into the position that we hate being in, which is signing players last minute. So we're going to have to make some sacrifices here. If Mendilibar wants his 4 players from Spain, these 4 players that we need for preseason, if he wants these Spanish players that he's had experience with, that he's comfortable with, he saw them at Sevilla, he saw them at Eibar, he saw them wherever he coached. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult unless they're older or in second division for us to get them. That's just the reality here. That's just the reality. Unless Mendilibar is willing to accept players from different places that aren't Spanish or maybe players from the Greek league or maybe other ones, I don't know if we're going to be able to give him what he wants before preseason in July. And that's not even to think about the conversation as well. Okay, if we can't get him these players he want, but we're looking at these other players, are they good enough for Champions League? This has been a question we get a lot. You know, this player that he's looking at, okay, this is a good player, but is this a Champions League player? Is this a player that's good enough to take us forward in Champions League? And to be honest with you guys, the core, this group that we have, this group of players, I believe that this group that we have set up is good enough to get into the top 24 of the Champions League phase. I believe it is. We get the right pieces, this can be done. I absolutely believe this can be done. We don't need many pieces. We only need 4. We have more money to spend. We're going to be getting a lot more money in the Champions League. But the players have to want to come here. And we're going to have to identify these players that would be willing to come. I don't see how we get through. I'll be honest with you. I would be extremely surprised if we're able to get 4 players before preseason and us be happy with what we get. That's my honest opinion. I could see us signing probably at least 2 players in August before the deadline. Especially if some of these players that we really want, some of these more expensive players are saying no to us now. We may not have a choice but to wait and see if they want to come here. Otherwise, the club could risk going further down the short list of players it didn't want, less talented players, and then spending for those players, and then we're disappointed with the product that we get. It's going to be a difficult balance here. It's going to be difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you guys. If there's people here that think that because we're in Champions League now, we can spend 60 million euros over the summer. And no, that's not true. Remember, this season, the final tier of the squad ratio kicks in for FFP or PSR, however you prefer to call it. But you can only spend 70% of your total revenue. We don't have the big FFP issues that we had last year to worry about. But we still have limits. And the club also has to think about, okay, I buy this player, he gets this contract. We amortize the contract for this amount every year. What happens if I don't get Champions League next year? What happens if I'm not even in Europe next year? Can I afford to put this on the books and still find a way to get players next summer if the squad has problems? Remember, we went through this for 2 seasons. These are real things the club has to think about. So we're in a good situation where we have a solid set of talent that people will want to buy, that will continue to bring income into this club. But we have to find a way to balance it with the players that we're bringing in. We already made one signing that's over that, Remy Cabello, that's 35 years old. We made another. We want to make another signing if we bring in Luis Milla. He's 30 years old. We have to find a balance here. We can't just keep getting older players for everything. We have to get younger players, more ready-made players. But at the same time, we have to find players that want to be in Greece. That is the situation. And it is not easy. People complain and get upset with the club for this and that, but it's not easy, guys. So many of you will complain about things with regards to the players, but you don't think about what the player wants. If the player doesn't want to come, there's nothing the club can do, no matter how much money they offer somebody. Same was with Fortunis. Same was with Podence. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's extremely difficult. And the club has to keep finding players. They have to keep finding players and opportunities that could fit the system. And that's another thing that's difficult, guys. The system that we play in, not every player we find works within that system. We have to be very careful and selective. Remember, look, we brought players in over the summer that were talented players, but that didn't work out for us. Marko Stamenic, Christopher Velde, Sergio Oliveira, Willie Young. They weren't compatible with the system that we had. And then others took a little bit to work into it. Danny Garcia, Roman Yaremchuk. So it makes it even more difficult because now we have a very specific context that we work in. And we need to make sure whoever we bring in can work within that context as well. Not easy. Not easy at all. Not easy, guys. It's not. Nico Sar comment here. By the way, the only confusing thing about the Cabello move is that he reminds me of Yazici as a role positioning-wise, not necessarily style-wise. We can't have slow 10 winger hybrids only. Cabello's not that slow, man. And he can run all day if you saw his Champions League stats. But he's not coming in to be a day-in and day-out starter. He's coming in to be an option off the bench that can play different areas and give us a different look. We lacked in some areas creativity, and that's something that we needed big time. So even if you get it from a guy like that who can do it as a super sub in Greece and in Champions League, you take it. And there were other clubs that wanted him. So, the obviously the big risk is the fact that he's old. That's the situation there. Alex 50, it seems like Mendy will have to pull rabbits from his hat again this season. As Gordon said, the biggest transfers happen at the end of August, and that's what will probably happen to us. Look, guys, Mendilibar did have to pull hats out of his hat again this season. But Mendilibar is also pretty stubborn himself. Like we have to call a spade here. Mendilibar is also pretty stubborn. And it was his stubbornness, don't forget, that saw our U19s not being utilized earlier for whatever reason. So Mendilibar has his own kinks to him, right? He has his own little quirks. He doesn't necessarily want super creative players. He wants players that will run and press. That's what he prioritizes. So everything we're trying to get these Spanish players that Mendilibar wants. We're trying to identify these talents that he likes while also presenting him with other finds, but he doesn't want those players. So Mendilibar's stubbornness is just as much at fault here as other issues. But again, we give Mendilibar the benefit of the doubt because of what he's done here so far. But let's not act like Mendilibar is completely innocent in this conversation, because he's also stubborn and he has his wants and asks that the club is trying to give to him. So there's multiple moving parts here, and so many people will ignore that. But again, the point is we give Mendilibar the benefit of the doubt because of what he's accomplished here. And if he wants these specific things, you try to give it to him because you know that he can make it work for you. But if he only wants these Spanish wingers specifically, and they don't want to come to Greece, they don't want to come to Olympiacos, what's the club supposed to do? If we can't get those players to come here, we find different ones and he doesn't like them and he gets upset because he doesn't like the players we brought in. I mean, nobody wins. It's impossible to win then in that respect. So the club will have to find ways to get Mendy the players he wants, but at the same time, Mendilibar is going to have to figure out how to make some concessions with what he wants as well. If the Spanish players don't want to come to Olympiacos, you have to branch out, my friend. And that's it, man. That's how it's going to work. Unless you want really old players or second division risks, which if we're going to get risky players from second division Spain, I would rather take punts on other players from Greece or other leagues. That's my personal opinion. So it's going to be a difficult situation, guys, and it's not going to be easy. That's the long and the short of it. But look, it's still early. It's still June. Club needs to have a fire under its butt because we need to get things moving. There's less than a month away, but it's still early. We did one piece of business. We just sold Kostoulas, which we needed to get funds so that we could fund other purchases. We'll see what's going on. We're going to see what they decide. A lot of things are going to change. It's not going to be a quiet summer. We were told this by multiple individuals. It's not going to be a quiet summer. So expect that players get signed. I'm not expecting 4 players to come in before preseason, but I am expecting players to come in through the summer, and I'm expecting business to be done in August. That is the long and the short of it. We probably haven't seen the last of the sales either, regretfully. Well, depending on the fee that they bring in, maybe it's not regretfully. So I'm going to get a couple more comments, and then we're going to get ready and close up here. It is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of the dads in the red and white community, all the dads that helped us find our passion for Olympiacos. So all of you dads out there that are tuning in and hanging out, happy Father's Day to all of you. It's been a great Father's Day for myself as well. It's always nice when I get to do whatever it is I want. Not many of those days, unfortunately, when you have kids. So absolutely love it. So comment here from Arispan. Sounds like he's responding to Hussein. Osorio's name is doing the rounds. Yes, it is. 21-year-old left-footed player for Midtjylland. Some Spanish paper also have us in the race for Raul Moreau, currently at the year 21 with Spain. And yes, that's correct. Those are names that are being linked. And Raul Moreau is another one that's, maybe a young player that wants to see if he won't get a big opportunity at a bigger club yet. Maybe wants to give us a chance, but these are risky bets here with some of these younger players. So these are all names that we're going to evaluate. And in the end, if the club's not able to get the players at once, maybe it has to take those risks. And I didn't bring it up yet, but we also have to commend the club for what it's doing with the academy right now. We have some really nice and top prospects that are coming into the academy. Cypriot wonder kid, Adonis Glafkou from Pafos. Great player coming into the academy. In the past, Eric Hamza, a kid that was part of the Valencia academy. He was out playing at in Syros. He was the only third division player to get a call up for, I believe he was playing for the U17 Greek national team. And then, of course, there's Kolokotroni. So we have the academy is not stopping. We have some great players coming into the academy for Olympiacos. We have some really nice prospects that are coming in the pipeline. We're not stopping the work now that we've identified success. There's a lot of great players. So it's really good stuff. Comment about Carlos Camis. I did see that, but we have sources that told us Carlos. So there's a couple of things there, but for the moment, Carlos Camis still seems like he will be coming, at least from the stuff that we've heard. There are things that the player and his agent want that maybe Olympiacos can't offer, but for the moment, it seems like Carlos Camis is still going to be headed towards Olympiacos. At least that's what we've been told. The last thing we were told. Saki is here. Probably we will bring forward Pneumonides for the wings. He's class, but we need one good player ready to play. I'm pretty sure we want 2 wingers to sign in addition to Pneumonides getting promoted and getting a look in preseason. I think that's the case, because think about it, guys. You know, we brought in Luis Palma, and Velde is not going to be here. Plus, when Willian left, that still left as a hold. Masuras isn't coming back either. So think about it. We've lost 3 pieces, 3 winger pieces, and we didn't sign enough to even fill those holes in the winter. So now that those 3 pieces are gone, you need 3 more. So Pneumonides, I think, is going to be added to the 2 wingers that we see. And then if he's determined to not be ready, we probably have to sign another winger. But we're going to see how that goes. There's also Papacanelos. So Papacanelos, Greek media today was talking about how it could be his time. You know, last season we talked about some of the things we saw when he played, but he's very talented. He's another one that could do something for us. But my suspicion, and I said this on a previous show, was that we either will roster one of 2, either Stavros Pneumonides or Adonis Papacanelos. It's going to be one of the 2. So I hope we'll see what happens with that. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving pieces, and we're really excited to see what happens this summer. It's exciting, guys. Champions League for the first time in half a decade. So a lot to be excited for. And it will be stressful. The summer is always stressful with the names and everything. So we're going to do our best to give you the latest information. I will do the best to give you guys the latest with the scouting reports. I will do my best to stay on top of all of it. All of us here at Thelos 7 International, we will. Guys, it is coming up to 50 minutes. I'm rolling solo here, so going to get ready and close this up. Don't forget, we have postponed the live show until next Sunday. That's June 22nd. We will be going around the same time that the live show happened today, but hopefully we have a full house. I'm expecting it to be a full house, so it'll be fun. We're going to see what your votes. You guys had some hysterical ones, so it'll be a really great time. There's 7 categories. You guys voted already, and tallying the votes up is always fun, seeing what everybody likes and dislikes. Before we close up, don't forget, for those of you that are here, to like and subscribe, especially if you like what you hear. A lot of great content that's coming out for the Brighton fans, especially our buddy that tuned in earlier. Don't forget to check out the videos that are uploading, that will be uploaded tonight or tomorrow for Costulas. You can learn more about the player. We've been talking about Kostoulas, us and our contributors to various outlets across the world that have been asking about this player. So we will be giving you all the latest information. And then don't forget, of course, guys, to support us on Patreon. And thank you to our patrons again for your support. Guys, if you have any other questions, you know where to reach me. You can find us on socials. A lot of great stuff. And don't forget to keep your eye out on Instagram for the next giveaway. I'm Adi. This is Thelos 7 International. By the fans, for the fans. We'll see you all next time.